Hey everyone, Michelle here, personal trainer and lifestyle coach. Today we are here to talk about our January 2024 theme of the month, taking care of the small stuff. Now, have you ever had a day where you felt super busy but didn't really have anything substantial to show for all the work that you did that day? Or maybe you have things that pile up on your to-do list and maybe they stay there for days, weeks, even months. This happens to all of us, and sometimes what it turns out to be is us prioritizing the wrong things. Maybe we are trying to put out fires or address the things that come up that we may not expect and are forgetting about all of the things that are important for our long-term goals. So what we're going to do this month is we are going to use the Eisenhower Matrix. This is designed for us to be able to take our tasks and decide what's really important and what we should be prioritizing. So the way that the Eisenhower Matrix works is it comes down to two important characteristics. The first is urgency. Is this something that needs to get done soon and cannot be put off any longer? And the second characteristic is importance. Is this something that has a severe and clear consequence if it does not get done? So what you do is you take each of your different tasks and you ask those two questions. Is this urgent and is this important? Once you've identified those two characteristics, you can put them into 4 quadrants. Now, really quick, something that's important to think about as well is what is your definition of urgent? What is your definition of important? You should create these definitions for yourself and make sure that you are consistent and strict with them so that each of these tasks are going to follow underneath the correct category. So now that we've got an idea of what our different characteristics are, I'm going to talk you through the quadrants. So the first quadrant is our urgent and important tasks. These are the ones that should be taken care of first. They should have higher priority and higher precedence over all the other tasks. And this could be either a smaller task or maybe even a large task that needs to get done, and you could break it down into several different days. Now keep in mind, sometimes these are kind of our firefighter response type tasks. Maybe there's an emergency that comes up, something that you don't expect that needs to get done immediately. That's the category for these tasks. The second category, or the second quadrant, is going to be our not urgent but important tasks. Now, these, again, we want to make sure that we're really strict about our definition of important, but these are the things that are going to help us with our long-term goals. So sometimes it's really easy to neglect things like your health or your relationships when realizing that you should be putting time consistently into those in order to help with your own long-term health. So think about those things. What are important but may not be currently urgent, and start to schedule time for it. This is a quadrant where you want to spend most of your time because it's being proactive. It's creating a plan B in case an emergency does happen, and it's being able to be productive in a long-term goal type of manner. So this is where we want to spend most of our time if possible. The third quadrant is the urgent but not important category. Now at work, if you are in the position to do this, you might delegate that task. Or even in your household, maybe you can get someone else that doesn't have as much on their plate right now to help you out and do that task. This is typically something that you do not personally have to do, but maybe it should get done. Now keep in mind, sometimes you can also put these tasks off, and maybe they will become more urgent or more important as maybe a date gets a little bit closer. So that's something to think about too. Sometimes these are things that you can put off a little bit longer. And then the fourth quadrant is our not urgent and not important tasks. Realistically speaking, this list should kind of just be thrown out, right? These are things that don't really need to get done. They're not that important. They're not coming up anytime soon, but they're bogging down your brain and your energy, and maybe they are just adding to that laundry list of things that you have to do. So these are things, again, that you can check off the list if you feel comfortable. Or another kind of strategy that I really like is this idea of a needle list. So these are things that would go on a list of small tasks that you would like to get done, but maybe aren't that important. Here's the catch. You have to set aside a scheduled time in order to be able to chip away at this needle list. Now, fair warning, I had a needle list for several months. that I maybe didn't touch at all. So I recently turned my needle list into a things I don't want to deal with right now list. AKA my quadrant 4, they could probably not even be on the list. So if you're gonna do the needle list, just make sure that you're strategic about it and that you do set aside time and plan for time to be able to knock some of these things off of your list. So now that we have a better idea of how the Eisenhower Matrix works, and I will include some resources below that I think will be really helpful with this, we can start to really categorize all of the tasks, maybe from a day-to-day basis, a weekly basis, but these are a couple of things that I want you to remember. Define your limitations, decide what's urgent and what's important, and be strict about it. Make sure that you are reassessing often. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be every day, it's just when things are gonna majorly change. So maybe that's a weekly basis for you, every other day or so. But make sure that you're reassessing and reprioritizing as needed. And then third, make sure that you are establishing non-negotiables. There are things that are going to be important and healthy for you in the long term. Again, we mentioned things like for your health, maybe meditation or journaling or exercise. For your relationships, maybe spending time with family and friends, or for some of those long-term goals that align with your values. Those are the things that we want to make sure that we're prioritizing and we're putting in that important category so that we can schedule and make time for it. I'm super excited to see what you all come up with. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon.